Auto theft is down from pandemic highs, but 40% of stolen vehicles are still coming straight off dealer lots. And it's not just theft anymore. Fraud is costing dealerships just as much. In the next few minutes, Chuck Stillwell, General Manager at Icon Technologies, will break down what changed, why your insurance company is paying attention, and what you need to know about protecting your dealer's assets in 2026. So Chuck, auto theft dropped off after the pandemic, but dealerships are still major targets. What's happening in 2026?
Yeah, theft is down about 15% from the COVID peak we saw. Over 1 million vehicles were stolen last year. 40% of those came right off of dealers' lots. It's still a real issue. Why? Dealers are soft targets. They're easy targets for the thieves. You've got a high value inventory. You got a lot of moving parts at a dealership, a lot of people moving around at the dealership, moving vehicles, touching keys. Organized theft groups, they know this, right? So they'll target it. They'll go after dealerships. We're seeing everything from really aggressive broad daylight thefts that are happening at dealerships, very sophisticated schemes where they're doing identity theft, and some of the fraud schemes are getting much more sophisticated over time. So the problem has evolved dramatically, and frankly, it continues to evolve.
And what types of vehicles are being targeted most? And what other security threats should dealers be aware of beyond physical theft?
Well, a little bit depends on the part of the country you're in. Pretty much all across the country, high performance vehicles are being targeted. The Hellcats, the Camaros, anything with some of the souped up engines and whatnot are highly targeted vehicles. But also, specifically state of Texas, Oklahoma, the South, the trucks, the pickup trucks are the number one stolen vehicles, Silverados, F-150s. And then it kind of varies by state a little bit on what it is. Insurance companies have been flagging those makes and models for some time now, so they know they have a high chance of being targeted. But I think fraud is catching dealers off guard right now. And fraud's a big problem with physical theft, is as big of a problem, I should say, as physical theft. We're seeing fake IDs, synthetic credit, people, doing all kinds of tricks of the trade, if you will, walking out with $80,000 vehicles from putting out a fake ID for a test drive. And AI is just helping fuel them a little bit. It's making it even easier in a way. AI has been a wonderful thing for a lot of businesses and a lot of people, but AI, when it comes to fraud and theft, is being utilized more and more. And unfortunately, it's fooling more and more of the dealer staff. So you're really fighting two battles: someone who's physically stealing your inventory and someone who's tricking you out of your inventory with a fake cashier's check or washed identity.
So how is this serious problem affecting dealership insurance costs and the requirements that insurance companies are putting on dealerships?
Well, the first and most obvious thing is premiums are going up. The costs, like anything, the costs go up. Insurance companies are increasing the premiums. Dealers are getting letters saying, you need to enhance coverage for these specific types of vehicles. So it's getting much more targeted. We've seen carriers paying attention to the risk in ways that they weren't 5 years ago, including even divesting from some regions, like the Mountain West due to the theft. So the good news is, we're seeing dealers get discounts if they can prove that they've got a system in place, or a program, if you will, in place to enhance security measures, protect their assets, keep track of their assets, control their assets a little bit better for investing in their inventory, frankly.
And in the light of theft, most vehicles have factory tracking built in. So why isn't that solving the theft problem?
So two reasons. It's easy to disable, and it's useless for law enforcement then at that point. Thieves know how to disengage OnStar, for example. You can get on YouTube, and within 30 seconds, you know how to disengage OnStar. And so it's really useless, right? The second reason is law enforcement doesn't like to have to use a third party or call a third party to try to track the vehicle and coordinate their resources. So if they can coordinate their resources to go find a vehicle, it's a crime in progress, and they'll react right away for it. But if it's something that frankly they have to work and call, and it's where the vehicle was 40 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago, I can't coordinate my other officers to go chase that vehicle and try to recover it. And criminals know that.
Yeah. So if you could give dealership operators one piece of advice about protecting their business and 2026, what would it be?
Stop treating theft and fraud as random bad luck. It's not. Treat it like a predictable business risk. And dealers just need to understand that. That's the environment we're in right now. You wouldn't run your dealership without liability insurance or a DMS system, right? Security should be the same, and there's different levels of security that a dealership might have. But you need to know where your inventory is at all times. You want to protect that inventory. You need a plan for if something goes wrong. So the dealers getting hit the hardest right now are the ones who think it won't happen to them, or we'll deal with it when it happens. By then, you've already lost the money, the time, the vehicle, obviously the frustrations for everybody at the dealership and the staff. Not to mention the insurance coverage goes up, right? The best operators are being proactive right now. They're building relationships with law enforcement before there's a problem. We help facilitate that to some degree. They're auditing their processes. They're asking, where are we vulnerable? Where could we do something better? They don't wait to wake up and find out that $400,000 in stolen vehicles have occurred on their lot, or they're missing inventory.
So essentially they need to be Boy Scouts, right? Always be prepared.
Be prepared. There you go. That's right.
Thanks a lot, Chuck. And we look forward to hearing your insights next time around.
Great. Thanks, Christopher.